So the first thing that you need to do if you're looking to recreate this cut crease look is to go into your crease area with kind of a neutral to cool brown shade and just buff that all through your crease. I'm using I think it's the fawn colour from the Anastasia contour kit in light to medium, but any cool tone brown to mid-tone brown will do. You just want to buff that in circular motions, going backward and forth, kind of going clockwise then anti-clockwise if you want to, really get that blended out well. Next up, I'm going in with a kind of purpley shade from my Morph palette. I think it's a 35p palette, and just lay that right on top of that fawn colour that you have there, just to create a little bit of depth and dimension to the look. Once you're happy with how you've got that blended in, you want to take a deeper brown. Take them on from the exact same palette, and this time it's just a little bit more deep in colour there and probably a little bit on the warmer side. And you just want to lay this kind of a little bit lower in your crease than you have done the other two colours, just to start to cut that a little bit. And then you want to go in with a clean blending brush and just make sure that's all blended out well together. Next up, we're going to start to cut the crease, and I'm taking this purpley browny shade, again from the Morph 35p palette, and you want to take that on a really thin angled brush and just lay down the colour where you want the crease to be cut. If you've got hooded eyes like me, then you want to lay a little bit above where your natural crease forms, but if you're lucky enough not to have hooded eyes, then you can just lay this kind of where your crease would lie naturally. The shape of your crease is entirely up to you. You could leave it in kind of a half moon shape, but I always like to wing out kind of the cut, if you like, so it flows quite nicely with the winged liner that we're going to do later on, and that just really helps to create kind of an almond shape to your eye. Once you have mapped out your cut crease, then you can go back into that purpley shadow just to darken up the line a little bit, and then you can start to blend it out. I'll do this to start with the angle brush, then I'll take a fluffier brush with some more of the shadow on it and just to darken that up a little bit, and then you'll see I'm going in with a clean fluffy brush just to help merge it in with all the shadows that we laid down initially. So next up then we need to kind of clean up all the shadows that have fallen down below the crease that we've created. So I'm just going in with this NYX cream concealer. I've got the banana shade and a really small definer brush just to kind of erase all of that shadow that we've got down on the bottom of our lid, and just to really sharpen up that crease that we've now created with the purple shadow. So once you've cleaned up the lid area, we're then going to go in with a vanilla shade. I'm just going to, in a second, take the whitest shade from the Naked Smoky palette and use it with a flat shader brush just to set all of that cream concealer. And you'll notice I'm also blending up into the inner corner so that cut crease doesn't start too harsh on the inside of our line. Then once you're happy with that, I'll always go back into that purple shade once again, just so you can really define that crease if you've kind of erased any of it with the concealer, or if it's got a little bit choppy with the cream shadow that you've laid on top of that there. Once you're happy that you have absolutely defined that crease, I'll always then just go back in as a finishing touch with a fluffy brush just to make sure that it's all blended and there's no kind of harsh lines above that cut there. Next up, we're going to go in with our liquid liner, and I always find that liquid liner works better for me than gels or anything, and I'm using the Rimmel Glam Eyes liquid liner. You can go ahead and create this as thick or as thin as you like. I've kind of gone middle of the road because you don't want it to overpower the crease that you've spent so long creating. But yeah, do whatever works for you, whether you like it thick or thin. Once you're happy with the winged liner that you've created, we're then going to go into that purpley shade that we used to cut the crease just to define our lower lash line a little bit. So taking a small definer brush, I'm just running that along the bottom lash line, and once I get to the inner corner I'll kind of wing it out a little, then buffing that out with a warm brown colour from the Morph 35p palette. Then going to go into a really deep dark brown and get that really close to the bottom lash line, as close as you can. A little trick is to tug on the bottom line a little bit so you can get it in close. Then we're going to go back in with that liquid liner just to create the cat eye in the middle there. If you're not so confident using liquid or gel liner, then a little trick would be to use a black shadow and a really thin angle brush like the one you used to cut the crease earlier in the tutorial, and then you've just kind of got a little bit more room for error should you make any. Next up, you want to give your top and bottom lashes a little coat of mascara. I'm not curling my lashes because we're going to go in for falsies, and I always find if I curl them beforehand then it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I'm going in with the House of Lashes Iconic Lashes. I got these in the mail yesterday and they're my favourite lashes I've ever used. So just go ahead and pop those on. I always pop them on in the centre of my eye first, wait for a couple of seconds and then tuck in the outer and inner edges. Just as a finishing touch, then I'm going to go back into the warm brown that we used earlier, just to really buff out that lower lash line once again, just to make sure that it's really seamless and both eyes match each other. And then we're going to go into the icy whitey pinky shade from the Naked Smoky palette just to highlight our inner corners. Once you're happy with how you've got your eyes looking, the last step in this tutorial is just to set all your makeup with your favourite finishing spray. I always go in with a couple sprays of MAC Fix Plus just because it helps to stick all the powders together and stop you from getting cake face. So there you have it, guys. That's my first tutorial over and done with. Hope you've really enjoyed it. If you did like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel as I'll have some more tutorials coming for you soon.